Two names once threaded through Britain's soft power story now sit in its most uncomfortable footnote. A prince who no longer uses his titles. An ex-wife who just abandoned the style that defined her for decades. And a monarchy forced to pull down banners and rewrite web pages. Fast. Tonight we're not chasing rumors. We're following the record. How did Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson reach the point where their public labels, the fabric tags of royal identity, were cut away in a single October week? What changed? Who decided it? And what does it signal about William and the house he will inherit? First, the seismic headline in one line. Prince Andrew announced he would cease using his royal titles and honors after talks with the king and the family. Within days, the official royal website adjusted his page header, his banner came down at Windsor, and the conversation shifted from if to what next. The decision is not symbolic housekeeping. Titles are the scaffolding of public role. Remove them from use, even if the underlying peerage technically remains, and you change how a nation sees you, how institutions host you, and how your name prints on every invitation. That's a transformation you can't hide in a footnote. And then the second blow, Sarah Ferguson, globally known as Fergie, long-styled Duchess of York since 1986, and even after her 1996 divorce, stops using the title. Years of keeping the style through personal storms ended with a short update, a quiet rebrand to just Sarah Ferguson. It wasn't a theatrical palace decree, it was a pragmatic recognition that labels carry weight, and the weight had become untenable. The social shifts happened fast. Bios changed, invites adjusted, charities reevaluated their optics. If you want a picture of how modern monarchy manages reputation, look at the speed of those updates. Hook the thread back 30 years. Andrew and Sarah were once the House of York's modern face. Glamour, mishaps, and tabloid spectacle, yes, but also a bridge between old military duty and new celebrity. Andrew's naval service in Falklands role built a credible public resume. Sarah, with candid interviews and energetic charity work, offered an accessible human profile. But reputations are not carved in oak. They're layered in newsprint. Over time, debts, business deals, public gaffes, and the slow metastasis of a single, devastating association, Jeffrey Epstein, re-scripted both of their stories. If you're new to the timeline, remember this. Andrew stepped back from public duties years ago after an infamous TV interview failed to answer critical questions. The relationship with Epstein, denied as criminal by Andrew, never stopped raising them. A civil case was settled in 2022 without admission of liability. The controversy didn't recede. Each resurfacing of documents, each new framing of old events, rebuilt scrutiny layer by layer. The court of public opinion operates on a simple principle: cumulative weight. In October, that weight finally snapped a cord that had held since childhood: the usage of titles. So why now? There's a political answer and an institutional answer. Politically, the monarchy must read the room. When trust is strained, it can't appear to shield its own at the expense of credibility. Institutionally, the Prince of Wales, William, embodies future norms: tighter accountability, sharper lines between public duty and private life, and a trenched deep awareness of how social media makes every badge, banner, and honor a daily referendum. Updating the website and removing a banner sound like cosmetics. In a monarchy, they're governance. We need to talk about titles themselves. In Britain, a ducal title isn't a stage name. It's a legal artifact. Stripping a peerage requires Parliament. Ceasing to use a title is a different lever, quicker, cleaner, and crucially immediate, especially when your goal is to signal distance, not rewrite law. That's what happened here. Functionally, every path that depends on public styling, introductions, orders of precedence, listings at state events, changes overnight. The palace signaled, this is no longer how we present this person publicly. For most viewers, the effect is indistinguishable from a strip. Now zoom out to Sarah Ferguson. Her decision to drop Duchess of York echoes the same logic. She kept the style after divorce. It tethered her to York and, by extension, to Andrew. But in the new reality, using that label felt like swimming against a rip current of headlines. The move to Sarah Ferguson is not surrender, it's survival. She can still write, speak, fundraise, and host without asking every room to pretend the past week didn't happen. For sponsors and charities, that tidy line matters. Let's pull on the thread you might be thinking. What does William want? He said nothing on record here, but his future throne must steer a post-scandal, audit-tight, data-hungry monarchy. In that world, titles are KPIs. If a badge adds friction, you retire it from use. If a banner adds risk, you take it down. The quietly radical idea shaping this moment is simple. The brand of the crown is a public utility, and anything that corrodes it gets shut off at the tap. The break. A prince issues a one-page statement. The country's most watched website refreshes a header. A centuries-old banner disappears from a chapel that crowns kings. In less than a week, the House of York becomes a house with no sign on the door. You could call it Tidy Palace Comms. I'd call it something else. Reputational triage in real time. The statement was spare. There were no Baroque flourishes, no pages of explanation. That minimalism was the tell. Royal language is often a velvet curtain. This time, it felt like a switch. What followed moved even faster. A change on the official site from the Duke of York to simply Prince Andrew. A signal that protocol gatekeepers would now treat the ducal style as out of circulation. No more title on second references. No more York on name cards and seating plans. The wall calendar of state events silently deleted a field. Is it only cosmetic? Not in the world where symbolism is policy. Take the banner at St. George's Chapel. Removed. To the public, banners are decoration. Inside the system, they're how you mark a person's standing in the oldest order of chivalry. When you remove one, you're not rearranging decor. You're editing history in the present tense. The message to every insider was plain. This is not an intermission, it's a change of act. What about the law? You can't snap fingers and erase a peerage. Parliament holds that screwdriver. That's why the phrasing matters, not stripped, stopped using. Functionally, though, you get almost all the oxygen out of the room. The emails stop arriving with your grace. The badges don't get pinned. If you've ever seen a grand theater lit only by exit signs, you understand the vibe. The building exists, but the show is over. The weight of association. You can't tell the story without the name Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender whose orbit trapped presidents, princes, and CEOs in a dark gravity. For years, Andrew's defense rested on denial of criminal acts and a pledge that he had cut ties. The civil case concluded with a settlement. Lawyers insisted on no admission of liability. But reputations are less legal than moral arithmetic. Subtract the denials from the documents, multiply by the headlines, divide by the public mood, and you get a number that tells you whether a title can stand. New coverage kept dragging the narrative back into sunlight. Timelines re-examined, emails resurfaced, questions rebound. Each item may be small, together they form sediment. This is how institutional decisions are made in 2025. Not by a single revelation, but by accretion, grain by grain, until the pile can't be ignored. The threshold was crossed in October. The monarchy's choice was binary. Treat this as weather, or redesign the roof. For Sarah Ferguson, the past founder too. Old messages, fresh judgments from charities, a recognition that the shorthand Duchess of York now carried collateral baggage. Her pivot to just Sarah wasn't a capitulation, it was a strategic firewall. She can still tell stories, write books, visit hospices, host panels, but now each introduction is a clean slate, not a courtroom. William's algorithm. You can't prove king-in-waiting strategy from silence, but you can infer it from the shape of decisions. William's world is a spreadsheet monarchy. Measure the risk, plot the optics, decouple the brand, move on. He doesn't say it in public, but watch the pattern. Fewer gray zones, tighter boundaries, rapid corrections. The days of letting titles linger while the public's blood pressure spikes? Over. Here's the unglamorous truth of modern soft power. When you run a royal household, your job looks a lot like being a chief risk officer. If an emblem, however historic, throws off more reputational heat than diplomatic light, you dim it. Update the website, update the briefings, update the seating plans. In that calculus, letting Andrew and Sarah continue under legacy labels would be like pouring petrol on a fire and calling it tradition. This is where the long game becomes clear. William will someday inherit not just palaces and ceremonies, but a ledger of public trust. If you want a monarchy that survives, you don't cling to every bauble, you shed the ones that burn your fingers. Titles are not sacred, trust is, and trust is fed by speed, transparency, and an unnerving willingness to slay your own sacred cows. The House of York without York. What does this mean for the York sisters, Beatrice and Eugenie? Their titles remain their own. They are not their father. Their standing derives from birth, not his styling. The palace will protect that distinction fiercely. It must, because the public now demands individual accountability over inherited halo. Expect to see them engaged in work, public or private, under names cleanly separated from their parents' headlines. That's not just optics, it's fairness. The Royal Lodge question will linger. Residence, leases, optics, none of that is settled by a website edit. But mark this, when the public brand shifts, private arrangements eventually follow. Spotlight has a way of turning private corridors into public stages. Even if contracts endure, the expectation is clear. Fewer cameos, lower profile, tighter compliance with any terms agreed behind closed doors. The audience has changed, so must the blocking. Could Parliament go further? Maybe if the climate hardens. But the palace's October play deliberately avoided that nuclear button. It didn't need to push it. Functionally, the same outcome is already in effect. The door isn't locked from the outside, it's shut from the inside, and the key slid back under the jamb. What changes tomorrow morning? Protocol officers adjust precedence charts. Event planners rewrite place cards. Press desks update style guides. Charities decide whether to keep, pause, or sever honorary associations. None of that sounds dramatic until you multiply it by hundreds of institutions and thousands of moments where a title used to open a door and now doesn't. The ripples are mundane. The effect is enormous. Less visibility, less ceremonial gravity, fewer platforms. There is also the security question. Titles don't automatically govern protection, but public role does. With usage curtailed, the argument for publicly funded appearances shrinks, and the logistical footprint shrinks with it. That's not a punishment, it's housekeeping. Less stage, fewer spotlights, smaller entourage. If you wanted the fade to background setting on a royal remote, this is what you'd press. For Sarah Ferguson, the next morning is even more granular. How you sign books, how you're introduced on panels, how contracts describe deliverables. A shorter label means fewer caveats. In the influencer age, the fastest way to reduce brand risk is not a better press release, it's a simpler name. The aha moment. Here's the twist. This isn't just punishment, it's precedent. The monarchy just demonstrated that titles can be retired from use when they become liabilities, and that speed is a virtue. Future households will remember that. That makes the crown more agile and more accountable. It also quietly shifts power back to the public. Behave in a way that corrodes trust, and styling becomes conditional. Now think about the William era. The heir's operating system prizes mission over mystique. Big projects need a clean reputation environment. Earthshot style initiatives, homelessness pilots, diplomacy with climate at the table, these depend on audiences who believe the messenger. You can't court presidents and CEOs on Monday and defend rusted emblems on Tuesday. If you want to raise capital for goodwill, you retire the investments that lost their credit rating. There's also a subtler dividend, clarity. For years, the public debated whether Andrew had been stripped of this or that, whether Fergie still was Duchess in style. Now the headlines write themselves, not using. That single phrase removes ambiguity, and with it, a lot of oxygen for confusion. In branding, clarity is mercy. The human cost. Cut through the politics and you find people. a man who served, a woman who built charities, two daughters who never asked for any of this. There is loss here of pride, of identity, of rooms that will never feel the same again. But accountability isn't designed to feel good. It's designed to work. The public does not owe anyone the benefit of historical styling. The institution owes the public the benefit of integrity. Will Andrew's decision end the scrutiny? Number. Headlines don't retire when titles do, but it lowers the stakes. Fewer official events mean fewer flashpoints. Less ceremony means more silence. Sometimes a quiet corridor is the best gift a family can give itself. And Sarah? Her future may be smaller in label, bigger in voice. Stripped of the easy shorthand, she'll be judged on content. Books that resonate, speeches that matter, hospital visits that lift a ward's mood for an afternoon. In a media economy that runs on trust, a simpler name can be a clean rebirth. Your lever. So here's where we land. A monarchy that wants to survive the data age has to act like a brand with a regulator. This month, it did. Now it's your turn to weigh in. If you could pull one lever to make this institution more trustworthy, which would it be? Hardwire transparency so every pound of public support is matched to a clear return. Build faster accountability, where titles go dark the moment conduct does. Or commit to mission-first monarchy, fewer medals, more measurable outcomes. Whichever lever you'd pull, remember the lesson of October. Labels are not the crown, trust is. And trust isn't inherited, it's earned. One decision, one update, one removed banner at a time. Here's the uncomfortable truth about institutions older than the houses they inhabit. When reform arrives, it rarely knocks. It takes off its shoes at the door, walks straight to the mantle, and rearranges the portraits. This month, the portraits moved. Not because a new scandal detonated, but because the gravity of old ones finally outpulled habit. Let's separate theater from architecture. The theater is the headline. Titles no longer in use. Banners removed, styling changed. The architecture is the operating model. Who gets a platform? What public duty means? How the crown prices reputational risk. Titles were the facade. Risk management is the load-bearing wall. When the wall groans, you don't repaint. You recalculate. Now imagine tomorrow's briefing at a royal private office. 3 questions, all businesslike. 1. Which introductions, formally and informally, must be reworded? 2. Which invitations already drafted require substitutions or withdrawals? 3. Which partners, charities, military units, civic institutions need reassurance that their association remains clean? That's not gossip, that's governance. And the speed at which those answers lock into place signals a deeper pivot. Prestige is being managed like reputation capital, audited, allocated, and, when necessary, written down. There's a human layer here, and it matters. People grew up with York as a signpost, on church lists, charity programs, invitations tucked in drawers. To see it go dim is a small grief for some and a large relief for others. The monarchy's job is neither to indulge the grief nor spike the relief. It's to stabilize the future. That's why the public moves. Updated websites, removed insignia, simplified styles, came fast and clean. The point wasn't humiliation. The point was closure. So where does William fit beyond inference? He stands at the intersection of 2 unforgiving timelines. An institution that must modernize before crises re-erupt, and a public that wants measurable value now. He doesn't need to say a word to shape the brief. The template is obvious. Mission first, speed over sentiment, clarity over ceremony. If a label clouds the mission, the label goes. If a tradition fogs the purpose, you open a window. You can feel the next debate forming. If titles can be retired from use, what about the ecosystem that fed them? Residences, honorary affiliations, ambiguous roles. Expect conversations to migrate from what is the rule to what is the principle. Rules litigate the past. Principles future-proof the brand. The principle here is stark. No emblem outranks trust. There's your North Star for the William era. Zoom back to Sarah Ferguson for a moment. Removing a style isn't a retreat from voice, it's a recalibration. She will still tell stories, raise funds, champion causes. In an age that rewards directness over deference, Sarah Ferguson might travel lighter, book faster, and connect more cleanly than any ornate title ever could. Sometimes the shortest signature opens the longest door. And the daughters? Their lives remain their own. The public increasingly distinguishes individual character from inherited controversy. That's not PR spin, it's cultural evolution. Meritocracy, however imperfect, has changed how audiences judge. It's no longer enough or fair to let a surname write the entire script. Expect Beatrice and Eugenie to stand or stumble on the strength of their work, not the shadow of their father's headlines. Here's an aha you might not have clocked. This month set a precedent for administrative agility. No drawn-out legislative theater. No vague half measures. A decision, then visible changes. That agility will matter for future storms, whoever they involve. It tells the country that the Crown is willing to move at the speed of modern scrutiny. In the attention economy, timeliness is not a courtesy, it's a competency. What about the legalistic chorus? But the title still exists on paper. Correct, and simultaneously beside the point. A light bulb wired to a wall you've switched off can glow in theory. The room is still dark. Language is power because institutions perform through language. Announcements, styles, invitations, orders of precedence. When those words change, reality changes. The rest is stationary. Will this end the story? Probably not. Stories like these linger in the seams of public memory. Some threads never lie flat, but the institution has pulled tight the seam that matters most, the one that keeps mission from fraying. National diplomacy, constitutional symbolism, charitable convening, soft power, those require a clean floor. If this month was a mop, it was used with purpose. Let's leave with a question that doesn't fit on a tabloid cover. What would success look like 1 year from now? Here's a radical answer: nothing. No headlines about titles, no debates about banners, no oxygen wasted on labels that no longer serve. Instead, attention pooled where it belongs. Outcomes. Did diplomatic visits land trade and cultural ties? Did homelessness pilots scale in the right postcodes? Did climate innovation reach communities that never see pilot projects? If the answer is yes, the silence around styling will have been the loudest victory of all. This month, the monarchy chose function over familiarity. It retired labels that outlived their legitimacy and kept faith with a harsher, healthier standard. Earned the right to be believed. Whether you admire the crown or eye it skeptically, that standard benefits you. It demands receipts, it rewards results, and it treats prestige not as a birthright, but as a balance that must never fall into the red. Your turn. Keep the conversation honest and useful. Which lever best serves the public interest now? Radical transparency, faster accountability triggers, or a formal doctrine of mission-first monarchy that retires any tradition that doesn't pay its way in measurable value? Leave your answer below. The institution just showed it can move. Tell it where you want it to go.